Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
The CCJ will be a Caribbean court, reflective of Caribbean culture, Caribbean values, and everything Caribbean. I ask this question: which court do you think will adequately reflect the views of Caribbean people to those who worry? Will it be the Privy Council, persons in Britain, persons who have never lived in Caribbean, persons who don't share our values, persons who don't understand what we stand for and what values we uphold? Or would it be our people who have grown among us, who live among us, who attend the churches we attend, who attend the schools we attend, who are members of the soccer teams that we are members of? Who best do you think will reflect us?
It's about time. It's long overdue. We should be there because, you know, get out of the British thing, and so we are all one Caribbean, and I think that will be binding us more together.
Yours is yours. Privy Council is not ours. No matter what we do, what we say, no matter what ties we had to England, this is the time to keep divesting ourselves of those strings that tie us unnecessarily.
There's nothing in this bill for any partisan political party. Nothing. There's only one thing in this. It's for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and for the Caribbean region as a whole.
Justice has to be accessible, affordable, and swift.
Grenada's Prime Minister highlights need for economic resilience of small states at World Bank meeting in Indonesia. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details in the news for Thursday, 11th October 2018, I'm Delroy Lozon. Grenada's Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, has underscored the need for the economic resilience of small states like Grenada. Addressing delegates attending the Small States Forum 2018 in Bali, Indonesia on Thursday, Prime Minister Mitchell noted that in today's globalized economic system, economic resilience means being globally competitive in niche, low-income but high-value markets. Dr. Mitchell said it's important to continue the narrative of small states not being defined by their disadvantages, but also by their distinct advantages. The need to focus on the blue and green economy as well as technology was one of the key streams of work in keeping with the priority areas identified for small states. Dr. Mitchell also highlighted some of the successes during his tenure as chairman.
The core allocations for either eligible small states have more than doubled, as Mr. Lin already said, from $0.73 billion to either 17 to $1.5 billion under either 18 special feat indeed. Indeed, some small states have even seen a tripling of their allocations. We have already seen rapid implementation of this in the Caribbean following last year's devastating hurricanes. In particular, support to Dominica was fast-tracked. Speaking specifically from my own country's perspective, the World Bank has certainly delivered to my country. We agreed with the World Bank that almost 50% of our IDA would be fast-tracked and front-loaded as budgetary support, a significant initiative indeed. This transaction, which received board approval earlier this year, has been called the world's first fiscal resilience and blue growth development policy operation.
Since the 2015 Small States Forum, members agreed on a number of priorities, including inclusion of vulnerability as a criterion for concessional financing, predictability of affordable financing, debt sustainability, access to new and existing climate change financing, capacity building, and technical assistance. As he handed over the chairmanship Thursday, Dr. Mitchell provided an update on the status of these priorities.
Inclusion of vulnerability as a criteria for concessional financing. Yes, we have made progress in terms of the vulnerability report, but urgent follow-up, colleagues, friends, sisters and brothers, is needed. 2, predictability of affordable financing. Yes, I say yes to that here. We have made significant strides, particularly through IDA, as I mentioned earlier on, especially in the case of my own country. But we look forward to the new developments with the IBRD. Thirdly, debt sustainability. Many small states have taken on the mantra of debt sustainability. However, in the context of climate change and the new IPCC report, it will be hard to maintain the ideal debt to GDP ratio, particularly if there is a lack of concessional financing.
The Small States Forum is held during the annual meeting of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Chairmanship of the forum rotates among member states every 2 years. Dominica's Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, says acceding to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice is in the interests of the people of Grenada and the region. Addressing a public consultation at the Wester Hall Secondary School on Wednesday, Mr. Skerrit said it is time we begin to look after our own affairs as independent states. Dominica is already accessing the court in its original and appellate jurisdictions. Mr. Skerrit said young people especially should be part of the process.
Because you are securing your future and your own protection as a citizen of Grenada and a resident of the Caribbean community. And to you, my dear aunties and grannies and uncles and grandpas and so on, you need to go out to vote yes, to ensure that your children, we're going, we're just in the waiting room as far as you're concerned, but our children and grandchildren are yet to come.
Local attorney Kim George urged those in attendance to embrace the opportunity to access justice through the referendum process.
And I don't think we should allow the opportunity to pass us as a people, because it is here. I want to suggest that we grab it, that we take advantage of it come the 6th of November, because I have no doubt that the infrastructural issues and challenges that we are presently facing in relation to our court system, those will pass. I have no doubt about it. And if those pass without us ascending to the CCJ, then the CCJ will remain a live issue. It will remain something that I suspect if we don't embrace it on the 6th of November, we might live to regret as an opportunity.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then started the story here, bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office.
A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. Grenada will host the 3rd Global Conference on Health and Climate Change, with special focus on small island developing states next week. The 2-day meeting, which begins on Tuesday, 16th October at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort in St. George's, would be jointly led by Dr. Joy St. John, the Assistant Director General for Climate and Other Determinants of Health at the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, Director of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and Grenada's Minister for Health, Social Security and International Business, the Honorable Nicholas Steele. The high-profile meeting will bring together more than 20 health ministers, permanent secretaries, and climate change focal points. A number of local, regional, and international observers and stakeholders with special interests in matters of health and climate change are also expected to participate in the conference, which is already attracting regional and international attention. With preparations already underway for this important meeting, Minister Steele told GIS that Grenada was able to host the meeting because of this government's decisive leadership on matters that touch and concern climate change and its impact on overall human health. Minister Steele added that the conference will signal to the world Grenada's seriousness on matters of health and climate change, especially at a time when the island's first ever climate-smart health facility at the Princess Alice Hospital will be handed over and commissioned 1 day before the official meeting begins. And that concludes the National Report for Thursday, 11th October 2018. Now for a recap of the main story in the news. Grenada's Prime Minister highlights need for economic resilience of small states at World Bank meeting in Indonesia. On behalf of all of us here at the GIS, I'm Delroy Lozan, thanking you for viewing.
Grenada is about to embark on another historic mission of amending its constitution for the first time since its independence. From all indication, the push is for the changes to be made before the end of the year, 2 years after the first attempt failed.
We believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved. And hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward, because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass. And I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. But I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction, and it would be, to me, almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country.
2 years ago, 8 bills were tabled for constitution change, but this time around, the focus is on one which, if successful, will see the Caribbean Court of Justice replacing the London Privy Council as the final court of appeal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who was re-elected to office by a landslide victory on March 13, 2018, says he intends to play an active role this time around.
And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now part, the countries that are now part of the CCJ, getting decisions based on the those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I would play a much more active role this time than I did the last time.
The bill seeking the constitutional change is already out. It's called the Constitution of Grenada Caribbean Court of Justice and Other Justice-Related Matters Amendment Bill 2018, one of the 8 attempted 2 years ago. It includes almost everything in the 2016 bill, but removed are the sections that speak about the code of conduct for public officials and the swearing allegiance to the country. Debate has continued over the years about doing away with the Privy Council and replacing it with the Caribbean Court of Justice system, the CCJ. The Privy Council in London and the CCJ based in Trinidad are both a final court of appeal that retries civil and criminal cases if the original ruling is thought not to be satisfactory. But proponents argue that the CCJ, formed and operated by the Caribbean people, would allow for a sense of independence and would make access to a fair trial much easier.
The arguments in favor of independence, the CCJ being an independent court, and in fact, the CCJ being one of the most independent courts in terms of structure and appointment of judges, not just in the region, but it is used as a model for other courts, particularly in relation to financing and in relation to the selection of judges. And that ultimately is the test.
There have been some recurring points of concerns about the idea of the CCJ as Grenada's final court of appeal, access, cost, and the likelihood of political interference.
What the CCJ has done and what has been approved with respect to the CCJ is the setting up of this independent trust fund that is managed by a board of trustees. And what is important about that board of trustees and the composition of that board of trustees is that you have no politicians at all on that board.
Former Minister of Legal Affairs Elvin Nimrod tabled the bill in Parliament in 2016. Newly appointed Minister of Legal Affairs, Honorable Kindra Mathurin Stewart, says the implementation of the CCJ to Grenada will enhance the judiciary system of the trial and state.
For Grenada to have access to the CCJ as its final appellate court, that would mean for us here in Grenada that our people would have greater access to justice. As you know, with the Privy Council, persons had to travel far to England to access the Privy Council. But of course, the CCJ is right next door, and I believe, of course, with its location and its ease of access, that locals, ordinary people like me and you, would be able to have access to justice.
The Legal Affairs Minister says she believes there are competent experts here that are capable to execute the process.
I believe that we in the Caribbean are capable of creating and making our own jurisprudence. We don't have to depend on English judges and English folks to make jurisprudence for us. And I believe that we are well capable. We've had notable jurists and persons coming out or emanating from the Caribbean, CARICOM. And I believe that we possess that talent, we possess that experiences, and I believe that we are well poised to create our own jurisprudence. That in its sense alone too would basically signal, of course, a greater independence for us as an independent nation of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
In October of 2016, the Grenada Constitution reform was held, where citizens took to the polls to cast their ballots for or against the implementation of the CCJ as the final appellate court. Constitution reform process then was denied based on the outcome of the votes. Although CARICOM created the CCJ as a replacement for the Privy Council, it did not fully replicate the British system. Instead, it chose to copy certain practices while creating other divergent ones. Residents here say, while they are willing to accept the change, there must be proper consultation on the subject.
Public education, and my first observation is that there are too many lessons, or if not lessons, too many chapters, or if not chapters, too many books to be learned within that space of time. The bills, the issues for the referendum, they are significant enough and far-reaching to have what I refer to as a limited time.
That of the CCJ, which country like Trinidad, Barbados, country which implemented that CCJ and they are ineffective already, they still go to the Privy Council for hearing in the jurisdiction. So we go into the CCJ now. We are neglecting the Privy Council and go to the CCJ. And them countries which are still implementing the CCJ, the Privy Council for a hearing. So how that go be looking when we neglect the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, and them countries which implemented the CCJ are still under the Privy Council.
During the swearing-in ceremony, after winning all 15 seats at the 2018 general election, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell reassured the nation that consultation and education on the process will soon resume.
As each of us seeks to protect and save our children, we must look out also for our neighbors' children and to the broader issue of justice. And as it is also related to our independence and to our national identity, we must open up a dialogue again about joining the Caribbean Court of Justice.
It is said that education is the key to success. The Grenada Development Bank believes this to be the truth, hence the reason we have made it our prerogative to ensure that your key is in safe hands with us. Here is how you can unlock your success with an education loan from the GDB. We offer you 3 loan options. We've got our regular student loan, our work-study student loan, and our special student loan. Our regular student loan is for persons who wish to pursue full-time tertiary level education. If you are a permanent employee who wish to study while continuing your employment, then our work-study loan is for you. Our special student loan is in collaboration with the government of Grenada, geared towards vulnerable persons who would like to pursue higher level education. Remember, you must have proof of admission from a recognized institution here at home or abroad. All our loans are 100% financing with interest rates as low as 5%. Get your funding from GDB today for your tertiary level education, your technical training or vocational training, even professional development, with up to 12 years to repay. Your future success is today. Grab it now.
Folks, you know my stance and you know I'm a principled person. I have stated very, very clearly that the CCJ is the way to go, and it is inevitable. Look, now people could have reservation and you have a right to, that's your business. But at the end of it all, we would have to handle our own affairs here in the Caribbean. We would have to have our own system, and I am simply saying the time is now. The time is here for us to do so. And look, we can have disagreements, we can look, I've stated on the program my position, and there are people who say straight up, Kem, I don't agree with your position, and they challenge and they say certain things, and I respect that. We should have a healthy debating going forward. Tomorrow you will have Joseph Roberts or some of his acquaintances or some of his colleagues to come in and speak about the CCJ, and you have the opportunity to ask a number of questions the same way. But I am telling you folks, you have listened to me many a years. I am confident that the CCJ is the way to go. It may not be perfect, and nothing in life is perfect. Nothing in life except God himself. But I am simply saying this is something that you need to look at. Give it a try. look at it. Listen to the both arguments. I am convinced that the CCJ is better for this region than the Privy Council at this point in time. And I am saying it will be better for many, many years to come. So I am simply asking of you to vote yes for the CCJ.
The CCJ will be a Caribbean court, reflective of Caribbean culture, Caribbean values, and everything Caribbean. I ask this question: which court do you think will adequately reflect the views of Caribbean people to those who worry? Will it be the Privy Council, persons in Britain, persons who have never lived in the Caribbean, persons who don't share our values, persons who don't understand what we stand for and what values we uphold? Or would it be our people who have grown among us, who live among us, who attend the churches we attend, who attend the schools we attend, who are members of the soccer teams that we are members of? Who best do you think will reflect us?
It's about time. It's long overdue. We should be there because, get out of the British thing, and so we are all one Caribbean, and I think that will be binding us more together.
Yours is yours. Privy Council is not ours. No matter what we do, what we say, no matter what ties we had to England, this is the time to keep divesting ourselves of those strings that tie us unnecessarily.
There's nothing in this bill for any partisan political party. Nothing. There's only one thing in this. It's for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and for the Caribbean region as a whole.
Justice has to be accessible, affordable, and swift.
Good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. 30 minutes after the 10 o'clock hour on the Isle of Spice. Well, everywhere within our time zone, not just in the Isle of Spice, all right? Nice, and we are live via 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CR FM in Carriacou via 92.9, and in Brooklyn via 94.9 We Vibes Noise Radio.
Don't care how we dance up in the street, our independence is not complete. So come let me rally around the CCJ without delay. Not tomorrow, but today. Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence.
It's a beautiful, bright, shiny Friday.
We should never ever be.
Saying a special good morning to all the listeners, whether you're listening via terrestrial radio or online, yeah?
Women of distinction, so for the CCJ.
Remember to like and share the program. Like and share the program. You have to like it and share it, yeah? So like and share the program. Saying a special, glorious good morning to all of you joining us via the live link.
I know Mary Show would have been proud to say.
Yeah, Hard Talk Grenada live on Facebook. Also live on YouTube. That Hard Talk Grenada page. Hey, Boardroom Bar, good morning.
Down with colonialism.
I will send a picture why I ain't make it down in Boardroom for a few days for you. I will send it for you in a little while. There's a reason you have not been seeing me, bro.
Executive power, beautiful flags and anthems. The judiciary, an important pillar, is still in the hands of the colonizer. So come let we rally around the CCJ without delay, not tomorrow but today. Caribbean people, this is another chance to advance towards total independence. Why should those who don't understand our customs and traditions be in charge of our apex code? We have in the Caribbean men and women of distinction, so for the CCJ we must vote. Come let we rap.
There are some more songs released and I'll release them next week.
Without delay, not tomorrow but today. I know that Williams would have been proud to say, oh yeah, the CCJ only way.
So good morning to you, Garfield, Jason, Shenron, Neil, Brenda, Gustin. Yeah, I wonder if Depot is there. Ricardo, I'm seeing you. Irvin, I know you're trying to wake up and think. Yeah, Jamal. Yeah, my good partner in Karakum. I see you designing some nice buildings, but I had to check you on our vibes. You understand? Louisa, Jillian, good morning to each and every one of you joining us on the live this morning. And we do hope you're having a fabulous day. Remember to like the live and share it. Like and share, don't keep it for yourself. You understand? Nice, beautiful. You know, I kept repeating a statement yesterday from the Prime Minister of Dominica. I kept repeating that statement because from everything that was said yesterday. Hey, Christopher out there in California. Morning, bro. Hope you're having a wonderful one as well. Yeah, out of the entire speech, and he did a wonderful presentation, huh? Prime Minister Roosevelt Scott did a wonderful presentation. In fact, in a while, I think I'll play the entire presentation. But there's a particular point in the presentation that for me stood out more than anything else. For its symbolism and for the expression of exactly the situation we are in right now when it comes to deciding whether to vote yay or nay for the CCJ. Yeah? And here's Prime Minister Roosevelt Scott speaking at the Wester Hall Secondary School just 2 nights ago.
I am here to tell you that you need to cross the river, or otherwise you'll get drowned. So you could have a situation where literally overnight, you do not have a final court in Grenada. And your constitution does not allow it to the Dominica route, where within 90 days we can have an act of parliament and amend the constitution. You would have to go through that same process as spelled out in the constitution. The constitution speaks to a process. It can't be overnight. So I'm saying to us, especially the youth, and the youth have to understand that we have to be part of this historical undertaking. Because you are securing your future and your own protection as a citizen of Grenada and a resident of the Caribbean community. And to you, my dear aunties and grannies and uncles and grandpas and so on, you need to go out to vote yes, to ensure that your children, we're just in the waiting room as far as you're concerned, but our children and grandchildren are yet to come. And yes, we could wait a little longer, but how much longer do you want to wait? Because we've been waiting for over 100 years. And you in Grenada, you've been independent since 1974. And so if you say that you're independent, what is it?
Get up. It's time to vote for Caribbean Court of Justice. Man are ready to vote. The people ready to vote. I said they're ready to vote. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice.
Yes, indeed.
Voting yes, 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 yes.
It's time to cross the river before you get drowned, eh?
I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She going and vote. He going and vote.
Hey, Darren, good morning. And Dexter.
Caribbean Court of Justice. Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through a lot in my lifetime, even revolution. And I must mention Hurricane Ivan. My dream is to see all the island come together as one. We voting yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. We voting yes, 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 yes for Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you, I go in and vote. You go in and vote. We go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. She go in and vote. He go in and vote. They go in and vote. Caribbean Court of Justice. My people, remember, November the 6th, Caribbean Court of Justice is the best choice. Vote yes, the Caribbean Court of Justice. Up, 2,
okay.
4.
Yes, indeed. And folks out there, remember the 28th of October. That's going to be the new National Party Convention. It will be taking place at the Grenada Boys Secondary School. For those of you that are seeking to attend, you must contact your various constituency representatives for information as to how to organize and make sure that you're a paid-up member. If you intend to be a delegate and so a voting delegate, make sure that you're a paid-up member. Yeah, you have to go and pay your dues and thing. Make sure that those are paid up so that you can participate as a voting delegate. Yeah. But even though you're paid, you still have to be selected as a delegate. Okay, might have so much people paid and you can't bring everybody. All right? Yeah, only a certain amount of delegates each constituency is allowed. All right? Yes, I don't want to go and sit and next thing I'll say, well, Sheldon say as long as I pay, I could vote. No. No. It doesn't operate so, popo. All right? Nice. So 440-7377. It is a wonderful Friday. Yes, yeah, we open the lines today. Yeah, nothing in specific. But let me say a special good morning to my good friend, the Baba, up there in St. Patrick. I realize you get back your cowboy. That's good. I'm happy for you. Yeah, I'm real happy for you. I'm glad you get back the cow, man. Nice? Beautiful, bro. That ain't easy, you know. After all the time that he take to see after that and so on. And somebody take it. But you get it back. You get back your cow. You get back your cow. Nice? Beautiful. All right. In fact, what I think I'll do right now is play the entire address by Prime Minister Scott. Yeah, we'll start off. We'll play the entire address. It's roughly just about 30 minutes long. So we'll play that address by Prime Minister of Dominica, the Honorable Roosevelt Scott, at Wester Hall the other night. Because I think it's important for you to hear some of the things that he had to say during that presentation.
It's not complete. So come let me ride here around the CCJ.
So in about 2 minutes or less, we're going to play that one for you when I get the nod that, yeah, he's ready? Okay, great. So we're going to play that one for you right now. Prime Minister of Dominica, the Honorable Roosevelt Scott, and this was the address that he gave to those gathered the other night.
Thank you very much. It's always my pleasure to be in this wonderful nation, the nation of Grenada, and its wonderful people. I first want to recognize in our presence the Acting Prime Minister, Honorable Gregory Boyne, MP for St. David, Honorable Oliver Joseph, members of Parliament, members of Cabinet, the Attorney General, Sir Lawrence, my friend and colleague, Honorable Joseph Isaac, the Minister for the Environment of Dominica, Honorable Senator Kim George, the leader of the National Democratic Congress, the chairman of the members of the committee of the CCJ Advisory Committee, and in a special way, Dr. Alexis, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I will not be reading a speech this evening to you, as I believe it is a conversation which we're having on a very important subject, which is Grenada's accession to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice. In our case in Dominica, we attained independence in 1978, followed Grenada, which we would have achieved independence in 1977, but the British deferred it by 1 year. And at the time of the negotiations, obviously opposition and the government had to work together to get national consensus on our independence. And we had already drafted a constitution which would have had the Queen as the head of state. And it is Eugenia Charles, may her soul rest in peace, as leader of the opposition, who suggested that we should go the full throttle and become a republic at our independence. And it's because she said, look, sooner or later, we're going to want to pursue being a republic. And so let us do it right away and with our first constitution. And we ended up with being a republic. And we kept the word Commonwealth to associate ourselves, as always, with the community of the Commonwealth, but also, very importantly, to distinguish ourselves from the Republic of Dominica, because we would have been the Republic of Dominica as well. We acceded to the original jurisdiction of the court in 2005 by an act of parliament. And we acceded to the appellate jurisdiction in 2014. Now, in our constitution, we could have pursued one of two routes. There was an opportunity for a referendum, but the section on the Privy Council was drafted differently from most jurisdictions. So it allowed us to, first we had to write to the British government to indicate to them our intention to delink and to get their no objection. And they responded in the affirmative, and that allowed us to go to the Parliament to proceed with the amendment to the Constitution, but requiring a 2/3 majority of the elected members of the House of Assembly. So we went through that route instead of going through the route of the referendum, because our Constitution was drafted differently from yours in Grenada. Now, as you know, most of you would know, before the CARICOM took a final decision on the court, there was widespread regional consultation, extensive regional consultation. And the people who were tasked of consulting with the region went from island to island at different levels, engaging the Caribbean community. And the people said, look, we have to have a system where the court financing will be independent of national governments. And this is why we created this trust fund, where every government, when agreed to sign on to a loan of $100 million, a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank, and each of us took a portion of that in terms of our quota and signed on to this loan agreement, and of course went to our own national parliament seeking parliamentary approval in accordance with our Finance Administration Act, and of course the laws that deal with borrowing from different entities. And that fund is placed, and you have trustees who manage this fund on behalf of the Caribbean Court of Justice. So we have been able to sustain the financing of the courts. Then there was the issue of the appointment of the president of the court. And people said, look, what if this prime minister doesn't agree? What happens? Or 5 agree, what happens? And the rest don't. And this is why we agreed again, CARICOM agreed to responding to the concerns of and recommendations of the region, and we decided to have the president appointed by unanimous decision of the Caribbean community. So every head of state, head of government would have to agree for the appointment of the president of the court. Now I want to say to us here in Grenada that in my mind, one of the most important functions of a state is to ensure that we have access to justice. You may not have access to the executive, and you can live your life without them. You may not have access to the parliament, and you may live your life without them. The pastor may tell you that you are placed on probation because you did something contrary to the church rules, but you could go to another church. Access to justice in our jurisdiction is important, because while our constitution gives us rights, it also gives us responsibilities, and we do not have any authority to trample on anybody's right in the furtherance of our own rights. And therefore, access to justice is important. And I do not want people to look at the argument of moving away from the CCJ, from the Privy Council to the CCJ, as being anti-British or anti the Queen or anti the UK or racist in tone or anything like this. It has nothing to do with these things. It is about a mission on the part of the Caribbean community to create institutions by ourselves, for ourselves, and to ensure that where the court is concerned, there's greater access to the courts by our ordinary people. And just to give you a simple statistic where Dominica is concerned and the Privy Council, and I'm sure if you do your own research in terms of Grenada, you will see a similar situation. Between 1998 and 2018, a total of 8 matters went before the Privy Council. 8. And I can tell you, you could walk the streets of Dominica tonight, and you can walk the streets of Grenada tonight, and you will meet many people who still feel aggrieved over a matter which went to the Court of Appeal here in our jurisdiction, who felt that the matter should have gone in their favor. But when they went to their attorney, he says, look, boss, but the cost of this thing, is better we just count our losses and leave this Privy Council alone. And furthermore, maybe the lawyer that you had cannot appear before the Privy Council, because not every lawyer can appear before the Privy Council. So 8 from 1988 to 2018. And of these 8, 3 were criminal matters and 5 civil matters. So what you have in the Caribbean, and I'm sure Grenada included, is that for you to have had the opportunity to go before the Privy Council, you would have had to be convicted of murder, be placed on death row, or sentenced for life. But the state has to cover this bill. Or if you have money, and I am not sure I am seeing millionaires here inside there tonight. Because really and truly, and most of these matters in Dominica are state corporations, obviously having access also to the national treasury, and 1 or 2 rich businessmen who were fighting for a substantial amount of monies and properties in Dominica. In one case, I see a brother and a sister went to the Privy Council because they were fighting for a substantial amount of the city of Roseau, which they own. So to want to stay with the Privy Council, in our view and my view, is not in the interest of every one of us in Grenada and every one of us in the Caribbean. And if something is not in your interest, the question is, why would you want to keep it? So we have to think about this matter. And you've heard from the Attorney General, and he's correct when he says that the British have said to us, the British authorities have said to us, Privy Council, many times, that it is time that you form your own court. And this is why we went and we formed our own court. And they're saying to us repeatedly, go and join the CCJ. In other words, we are fed up with you guys. You guys are your own people. You have your independent states. Do your own thing by yourself and so on. Stop bothering us in the United Kingdom. Stop taking an 8-hour flight and come to us and loitering at the steps of the Privy Council. I'll give you a classic example. The University of the West Indies medicine degree was accredited by a British entity. And literally overnight, that entity imposed on the University of West Indies program certain conditions. And the University of West Indies felt that these conditions were unfair, they were onerous, and it did not accede to the demands of the accreditation authority of the United Kingdom. And we found ourselves at the University of West Indies, within weeks of students graduating, with an unaccredited program. So the students would have graduated and the degree would not have been recognized because they were not accredited. Nobody would stamp to say, this degree program is recognized, that student is should be recognized as a medical doctor. And we had to call in emergency meetings of the heads. Emergency meeting of the heads, literally overnight, to create an entity, a regional accreditation entity, that would have accredited the University of West Indies program in advance of the graduation ceremony. Now, in respect to the Privy Council, the same can happen to us. Well, not to me in Dominica, to you in Grenada. Because we have crossed the river already. I am here to tell you that you need to cross the river, or otherwise you'll get drowned. So you could have a situation where literally overnight, you do not have a final court in Grenada. And your constitution does not allow it to the Dominica route, where within 90 days we can have an act of parliament and amend the constitution. You would have to go through that same process as spelled out in the constitution. The constitution speaks to a process. It can't be overnight. So I'm saying to us, especially the youth, and the youth have to understand that we have to be part of this historical undertaking. Because you are securing your future and your own protection as a citizen of Grenada and a resident of the Caribbean community. And to you, my dear aunties and grannies and uncles and grandpas and so on, you need to go out to vote yes, to ensure that your children, we're just in the waiting room as far as you're concerned, but our children and grandchildren are yet to come. And Yes, we could wait a little longer, but how much longer do you want to wait? Because we've been waiting for over 100 years. And you in Grenada, you've been independent since 1974. And so if you say that you're independent, what does that mean to you as a people? Because we in Dominica, we've said, and we had a very auspicious ceremony to usher in our recognition of the court in its appellate jurisdiction in Dominica. And I invited Dr. Alexis to be a featured speaker. And I did so deliberately. I could have gotten many Dominicans to speak, but I did so to let our Dominican citizens and residents understand that this is a regional undertaking. It is not a narrow Dominican undertaking, it's a regional undertaking. And I invited a Grenadian brother to come to address us in Dominica on this important. And it might be even useful for us to make Dr. Alexis make this speech available to the Grenadian community. Because I believe it will also help us understand the importance of this court to us. So we have an opportunity now in Grenada and the Caribbean to do this in an orderly fashion. And when we speak about regional integration, all of us criticize CARICOM. Oh, CARICOM is a waste of time. CARICOM this, CARICOM that. This prime minister is going to meetings and nothing comes out of it. But here it is, out of these meetings, we created a court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as a symbol of our independence, as a recognition that we in the Caribbean have sons and daughters of the soil who have the capacity and the academic background to adjudicate independently and in a reasoned fashion on matters that are brought before them. And sometimes we in the Caribbean, we like to view our brothers and sisters with suspicion. We believe that our people do not have the capacity, but guess what? The people whom we think do not have the capacity to adjudicate on matters that come before them, other courts, other jurisdiction, use them. You have heard of Telford Georges, who was internationally respected. Sir Dennis Byron was part of a UN court in Ghana. You had, I believe, a gentleman, Doliver Nelson. So you're telling me that, and mark you, these people have been judges in countries where people don't look like us. And they're respected. You had people like Dr. Liverpool, Nicholas Liverpool of blessed memory. So we have the capacity here in the Caribbean to determine our own courts. And I said in terms of regional integration, when we created CXC, the Caribbean Examination Council, people were not happy. People said, why are you changing it from GCE to CXC, and why do that and so forth? And had we not created CXC then and built capacity and an understanding of examinations, what exam would our children be sitting today? Where is GCE today? Where is GCE today? When UE was created, there were those who were educated in the United Kingdom who felt that this UV stuff that makes no sense, and so forth. But the advent of UV has caused a dramatic increase in access to tertiary education by our people. And I'm saying to you in Grenada that you would not be defining who you really are and who you really have been if you do not vote yes for this CCJ. Because Grenada has always been at the forefront of regional integration. The Grandad's Declaration here in Grenada, anytime you wanted to talk about integration, regional integration, you had to come to discuss it in Grenada at Grandad. Grenada has been the most progressive island in the Caribbean. You have traveled distances and roads that none of us in the Caribbean have traveled. So, for you to wake up, if you were to wake up in the morning after, or the results would be in the evening, but you go to bed and you wake up in the morning, and you will not have achieved the stipulation as provided for in the Constitution, you would have done a great injustice to yourself. And as I said to you, you have an opportunity to do this in an orderly fashion. In an orderly fashion. And our grandparents always told us, what you can do today, don't live for tomorrow. And I am happy to see that both the governing party and the party in opposition are in unison on this issue. There may be issues of process, which is understood and can be engaged. But I believe the fundamental point is that there is an appreciation that it must be done and it should be done. Because issues of justice must always be immune to partisanship. Because all of us rely on the court for one thing or the other. And it's important for there to be this unity. And I say to you, and I appreciate the words of the leader of the NDC, that they're not looking at this from a partisan lens. And the government is not looking at this, from what I've heard from the Attorney General, looking at this from a partisan lens. And therefore I'm saying to us, all of us, and because it's a referendum, and sometimes people will come out to vote for national elections because they want their jobs secured. They may have applied for a home and they have to vote to get this home, to secure this home. So you may not want to be motivated to come out to vote for this referendum. And I'm saying to you, even government supporters may say, well, this is not going to change the government tomorrow morning, so why vote? This is not about the government. This is not about the NDC or the NNP. This is about you. See me, if I was the Prime Minister of Grenada, I wish I was the Prime Minister of Grenada. I would ensure that there is a national holiday to allow people to go out to vote, so there is no excuse. Everybody would go to vote, and you know, you may be tempted, my dear brothers and sisters, to say, well, why am I going to stand in the line for 2 hours to vote? The same way our forefathers fought to vote, because only landowners could vote in our region. Only landowners could vote in our region. And in the same way that they fought to vote to get the adult suffrage, we cannot let that sacrifice, that blood and that sweat go in vain. History, I'm saying to you, will not be kind to the current generations of Grenadians if you do not come out with a yes vote on the night of this referendum. I can tell you, in Dominica's case, we were very strident in acceding to the courts in both jurisdictions, because we understood and still understand the importance of the court to the ordinary man. You see, those who have money can fly to England. They can pay the $120,000, $150,000, $200,000, $400,000 to go to the kingdom. How many of us here in this audience have relatives in England who would love to go for a vacation to see them, but we can't afford it? And there are people who have been brought before. For example, the last case that was brought before the CCJ from Dominica, the respondent appeared in person. He couldn't afford, or he say he couldn't afford, I don't know. But he couldn't afford to get senior counsel or Queen's counsel to appear for him. So, my final word to you, my dear brothers and sisters, that we have a date with history. We have a date with history. We have a date to solidify our independence. We have a date to ensure that we can vote for or by ourselves, for ourselves, greater access to justice. How many of you here would want greater access to justice? Everybody? So why isn't everybody going to vote? Or will everybody go to vote? Those who are registered to vote. So you are doing this for yourself. You're not doing it for the Attorney General. You're not doing it for the Senator. You're not doing it for MP Joseph or any of the ministers. You're not doing it for my friend, the leader of the NDC. You're doing it solemnly for yourself and for your children, because you never know when you will need that court. And we speak here of access to the CCJ. We also speak to affordability of the CCJ, because the CCJ has taken a decision to have matters heard in our respective countries. So if a matter, there are 5 matters in Grenada, they'll come to Grenada to hear the matters. So you don't have to pay any tickets to go to Trinidad, no matter how close Trinidad is. You simply take a bus and pay $2 and go and let your matter be heard. And it is even taking into consideration your socio-economic condition. If you cannot afford the fees, it shall make arrangements to set it aside on your behalf. So, for many of us, access to justice could very well be free. Could very well be free only if you vote yes for the CCJ and you get the 2/3. I am not a politician. I consider myself to be a community leader, and therefore I will not be speaking long. But just to say, I just wanted to bring this very simple message to you. This very simple message to you. That you have a duty to yourself and an obligation to your nation and to succeeding generations to vote in support of the CCJ. So when you go to this polling station, look for the 3-letter word, YES, and put here, is an X you put? A tick? Just a small tick, and you say, thank you, Jesus, I'm doing something good for you. You see, and you would say, you should, when you live there, you have to say a special prayer because first time in my life, I have taken a decision to allow myself, my people to have access to justice. And my brothers and sisters who died, not having their matters appropriately heard as far as they're concerned, you're doing it for them because your children will not be fallen to that same fate of ending a matter at the High Court, at the Court of Appeal, because you could not afford to go to the United Kingdom to have it heard in its final jurisdiction. And come this year, you will have 6th of November, you will have that opportunity. You will have an opportunity. So I wish you all the best, my brothers and sisters, Grenada. I wish you God's blessing, and may God bless this beautiful country. Thank you very much.
Our Grenadian people are proudly Caribbean, and we continually strengthen the bonds of the people of the region as together we embrace our collective destiny. We are the children of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley, of Vivian Richards and David Rudder, as Caribbean as West Indies cricket, and as Caribbean as the University of the West Indies. We are reggae, we are soca, we are one vibration. Break the chains of colonialism for one united Caribbean. The Caribbean Court of Justice, proudly ours.
Rising out of the ghetto, third world, stagnation, and reaching out for tomorrow with a world vibration. Get up! It's time to vote for Caribbean Court of Justice.
Yes, indeed. So there it is. You've had the address by the Prime Minister of Dominica, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, in relation to the issue of the Caribbean Court of Justice.
For Caribbean Court of Justice. We're voting yes, 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 yes. For Caribbean Court of Justice. I'm telling you.
Even this morning, I was hearing some people complaining about, oh, they don't have access to the bill. They don't have access to the bill.
Justice, she going and vote.
Where is the bill? The bill not being brought out.
They're going and vote. Caribbean Court.
Let me say this, though.
Grenada is a little island down here in the Caribbean. We've been through
the bill, as in the entire bill, the document that went to Parliament.
I must mention Hurricane Ivan.
Number one, it was given to every media house that attends sittings of the House of Representatives.
Court of Justice.
In other words, the new today, the Grenada Informer, and all newspapers, all television and radio stations that have news broadcasts that attend sittings of the House of Representatives, the media in Grenada, I can confirm to you right now, all of them that attend sittings of the House that have been confirmed by the Clerk of Parliament to attend sittings as the media, they would have received packages that contained the bill that went to Parliament. They always get every single bill. That's why I'm always flabbergasted or flummoxed. Flummoxed is the right word? Yeah. At when people talk and say that the bill isn't being circulated, it's being hidden from the people. If you give it to the people who broadcast to everybody, so if GBN has a copy of the bill, as I know that they have a copy of the bill, they cannot say that they didn't receive it, because as a former parliamentarian, I know that when I received my packets, so do the media. They receive a copy of the packet. Even when they come to the parliament sitting itself, they get a copy of all of the bills that the parliamentarians who are debating have. They have a copy of the bill in front of them so that they can follow. When you say section so, they don't have to sit down there and wonder about what they're talking about. They have a copy of it in front of them that they can go to. So the media houses, by and large, had copies of the bill. That's one. Yeah? So me ain't talking from hearing second hand and third hand from somebody else. I'm speaking from personal experience as a person who knows how the process goes, how the procedure goes, and what the operations when it comes to the parliament are. So the media has copies of the bills. That's one. Secondly, yeah, the bills were placed in 2 local newspapers. I know for a fact I saw it in the Grenada Informer. I think of, was it last week or week before? The Grenada Informer. I think it may have been in the Grenada Today as well. And there's a possibility, I'm not sure if it was in the Grenadian Voice. Grenadian Voice, let me know if you all also published a copy of the bill. And we're speaking here about the bill that went to Parliament, not the bill that you had to pay down at courts. No, not that bill. We're talking about the bill that went to Parliament. Yeah, the CCJ bill. As you keep hearing some people complaining about, oh, we don't have access, we don't have access, we don't. You lie. You're lazy. You don't want to go for access. Yeah? Because one, the media houses have it, which means that they would have the responsibility to inform people that this is the bill and this is what the bill has in it and so on. That's one. Secondly, the bill was placed in at least two newspapers over the past 2 weeks. And newspapers that are circulated everywhere from Petit Martinique right down to Frequente. Well, let me go further down. Point Saline. Yeah? So the newspapers, I know for a fact it was in the Grenada Informer. I believe it might have been in the New Today. I can't remember properly if it was the New Today or the Grenadian Voice. But my friends at the Grenadian Voice, I know you're listening. So just give me a message and let me know if you all received it as well. Yeah? So it was circulated like that. Additionally, it is available at the government printery. One can go and request a copy of that bill from the government printery. You may have to pay a small fee for it, but you can get a copy of it from the government printery. Also, it was gazetted, which means it was printed in the government gazette, which you can purchase as well at the government printery. So you can either purchase the bill itself, or you can purchase the government gazette that has the bill in it at the government printery. Additionally, yeah, the bill has been placed on the CCJ Facebook page. So even if you're not in Grenada to get a newspaper, or you're not in Grenada to go to the government printery, yeah, or you're not in Grenada for somebody to hand you a copy of it, that even if you're right now in Canada, or you're in the United States, or you're in the United Kingdom, or you're in Mexico, or you're in China, or you're in Belarus, wherever you are, you can go to the CCJ Yes Grenada Facebook page. That's the name of the Facebook page, CCJ Yes Grenada. You can go there and you will be able to see the bill online as well. So you could get your own copy of the bill online as well. So for individuals to give the impression that no attempts were made, I think that some people want you to go and print like 50-something thousand copies of the bill, which is about 17 pages long. They want you to go and print 17 copies of it and walk around with it and hand people individually. And to be honest, that has been done as well, you know. Copies of it have been made available through various means. I'm not sure if they have them at the constituency offices, the parliamentary representative offices. I'm not sure if they have copies of them, I think they may have copies of them at the parliamentary representative offices. But you have persons out there, because as I call them, some of these individuals, because again, I'm not categorizing everybody that's saying that they didn't get a copy of the bill as part of the circus. But we have the membership of the traveling circus of no that continue to make all these kind of erroneous statements, untrue statements about situations. So they're attempting to give the impression that the bill was not circulated. The bill has been circulated. Yeah? You can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. So the information is there. It's up to you if you want to access it and if you want to take it. We have a caller.
Good morning to you, sir.
Morning to you.
And how do you do?
Yeah, I'm quite fine.
Do you have a co-host this morning?
Just myself today.
Okay, with one to everybody. Now, the CCJ bill. I am not saying I'm not aware of a bill, but I have not seen a copy of a bill. Neither do I have a computer to go online to get a copy of the bill. But how long would that bill been in circulation?
The bill itself would have been in circulation from the date it was laid in Parliament, because
That
it would
how
have
long
been
ago?
that would have been months ago, because it would have been laid in Parliament. So once it's laid in Parliament, that means the media would have had a copy of it from then.
Right. So you see, that's where the problem lies. Because you tell me about how much copies? Is it about 17 something copies?
17 pages.
Right. So that's a lot for the ordinary folk. Now, if you have just about 6 months to look at the bill and to study it and to go around and analyze it for yourself as an ordinary person, that time is too short. I'm suggesting.
That time is too. Well, hold. That time is too short for who?
Yeah.
That time is too short for who?
It is short for the ordinary public.
For a bill that's 17 pages?
Yes.
You know, you have some children that have to go through a book that's 300 pages long and report on that in less than a month.
I would agree. But
yeah, so you're trying to say that we don't have people here that have the competency and capability to go through 17 pages
course, yes, but
and make a decision in 1 week, that we need a year to do that?
Let me tell you something. You see, we have different interpretations, and you have people interpret it a different way. So what you want a discussion on the various interpretation to come up with a consensus.
It's
and that's what the people need. For the people who are concerned with law and legal matters these matters like you, it's very easy for you to conceptualize and just, you don't paraphrase it, just go through.
No,
but
but
for the ordinary folk like me, who are not offering parliamentary procedures and so forth, except working with the government, it takes me some time to read a bill, clause by clause, and to analyze this bill. I have to read it over and over, and after doing this, I will have to discuss it with people, not with myself, with people.
So you need months to do that.
Discuss it and see if we could come up to a consensus whether, okay, is this right, is this wrong, etc. So you need some time, irrespective of people have the wit. Some people have the wit.
Let me ask something. Yes. Let me ask. Hold on. Let me ask. So you have not seen the bill?
No, I have not seen it.
So you're unaware of the structure of the bill. It's a straightforward bill.
Yes.
It's not one that needs any big set of interpretation, because it is a straightforward bill. It says this is what we're going to do. Change the name of the court from this to this. And secondly, that we make Grenada's, in Grenada's case, the final court of appeal, the CCJ instead of the Privy Council, and then it makes provisions for changing the different sections in the Constitution that refer to that to the new sections.
Are you okay with the flyer that is now circulating, and what do I vote on? Are you okay with that?
I don't think I've seen that flyer.
Right. Well, I have a copy of that flyer, and that's what I did raise on some of your stations. I think I raised it with you, because it mentions something about the altering of the Constitution and something to do with the Supreme Court.
Yeah. But that's what I just said.
Okay, so that's what I said. No, I only saw that, and from the time I saw that, I said, wait a minute, you have two bills complicated in one. And then the discussion started, wait a minute, why are we talking about the Constitution and we're dealing with the CCJ? Why couldn't be straightforward to approve the bill to change the Caribbean Court of Justice, the Privy Council, to replace the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice? That's one bill. That would be very simple. So the Constitution does not arise there. So the complication was to alter the Constitution and some other matters deluded. And that is the vote we have to vote on. But I have not seen the broad bill to say, well, okay, I'm going to draw based
my
on
friend,
what I read
hold on,
there.
but hold on, and I'm going to take you to task on this. You're a person that calls every radio station that says that you're very, very, very knowledgeable about the operations of government and the government system, that you were a senior person within a ministry at a point in time,
yeah.
that you have worked on various programs.
Yes.
And you're calling this program to tell me you don't know you could just walk in the printery and get a copy of the bill?
Well, you see, I never knew that it had a written bill. I heard the discussion.
No, don't insult my... No, hold on. Stop right there. Don't insult my intelligence. What do you mean there's not a written copy of the bill? So what was laid in Parliament?
I have not seen a written copy of the bill.
And I'm saying to you...
There's a bill out for discussion
I'm saying
over 1
to
year
you...
ago.
No, don't insult our intelligence on this program. You know better than that. Don't try that. You know for a fact that if a bill is done, that there must be a written copy of the bill.
But
you also know for a fact that once a bill is laid and so on, that there would be copies available through the government printery. You have said several times that you know how government operates. You have made several attempts at saying this is how things should be. So you can't have been within the government service in a senior position and come to me now to tell me that you don't know. You could simply walk to the printery and get a copy. I'll excuse anybody else. I would not excuse you.
I would agree with what you say, but here's something. Whilst you're saying I am knowledgeable, yes, I have certain knowledge of government operations. But I'm saying if you tell me now the bill is out for about 6 months, that is too short even for me to discuss, in other words, go
because
through
the bill is
and
straightforward.
Analyze. Follow the person who you feel have lesser intelligence than me, who will need somebody else to help them
Nobody's
to
less
analyze it.
Nobody's less intelligent than anybody else.
1 year is just about too short. If 1 year is just about too short for this very important bill, and that's where we're having the problem that people seem not to want to. I'm not against the CCG.
It is
I'm not against the CCG.
But I'm saying that I think many people are just looking for excuses because the bill is available. It is if you want to make yourself go and get the bill. If you want to decide you want to go and get, you don't have an excuse. I know you. I've heard you speaking. And you can't convince me that, one, you didn't know there was a written copy of the bill. Come on, try that with somebody else on another program. No, yeah. Secondly, you can't tell me that you don't know you could go to the printery and get a copy of the bill.
I know very well I can do that. Here you go.
Also, you know very well you could do that, but you don't have a copy.
Here is something. I always leave room for the people who need someone's help, and that's my style of leadership. You know, so lifting people up and to directing them. So what I'm saying, 1 year is too short for that.
For you?
Well, for me, yes, because I will have to.
I'm telling you that the bill
over and over, because you see that's a legal matter. You know, that's a legal matter, and you know, legal matters are so complicated that you need some time to actually find in your own way and come up with something. But I'm saying here, the bill that we have before us now, and that's my contention here. I'm in favor of the bill, but all I'm saying to the people who proposing the bill. There's other matters relating to people's well-being and the society that we could address, which is more pertinent than going to the bill. Have the people satisfied with behaviors and attitude as it relates to representation. Then you bring in the bill. We all would say yes because we want to get away from the British system.
Here's what will happen, my brother. This bill previously, it had, some 30-something to 50-something sections when it was brought in 2016.
Yeah.
People said that was too much.
Yeah.
It has been stripped down to the bare bones right now.
Yeah.
People have to decide what they want, you know. Because it's been stripped down. It's been stripped down to, for instance, I heard one of the people who belong to the circus of no. I heard them earlier talking about, we still, and they even asked the Dominican Prime Minister if they pledge allegiance to the Queen.
I heard it. I heard
but that was in the bill in 2016.
I heard the argument.
That was part of this same bill in 2016, where we would no longer have been giving allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors.
Even somebody suggested to learn
individual. They said vote no.
Even some person suggested to learn individual that he should not find himself here trying to convince Grenadians to vote on a bill because this is none of his business. So I heard it. Why are you here? This is Grenadian business. Let Grenadians deal with the matter for themselves. No, it is insulting to me if I had to be there, but rightly so. You see, there is interference in internal affairs that is creating problem for the citizenry. And so that is the problem we have in here. Is not so much the bill,
what
but
interference?
In terms of the representation.
What interference? Hold on. What interference in internal affairs? Because if we're making a statement like that, that's a serious charge to be laying against anyone.
Well, I heard.
So who is
it.
interfering?
I heard it. I heard it, but I listened to the debate. I wasn't there, but I listened. And there was an individual who questioned the gentleman. Why are you here? You should not be here because this is Grenada's business. Why are you trying to tell Grenadians how to vote on the CCJ? I heard that for myself. So I'm saying, rightly so, it is insulting for anybody. But if we are interested in people's business, then we should lend a better hand instead of coming to tell us what to do. Because we know what we have to do, but all are we saying? We are not satisfied with the type of representation we are having based on our economic situation, not hating governments. But that has been happening under all government over the years, where we're not looking much after the people's economic development, but we come with bills. And that is creating a problem for a lot of people. Not we are against it.
Okay, hold on right there. This administration, one of the first things that it did when it came in 2013 would have been to deal with several economic matters. So what you're speaking about is nonsense. I'm telling you directly on air, in front of the Grenadian people, what you're saying is nonsense.
It is
because, hold on, yes, it's nonsense because, one, outside of the homegrown structural adjustment program that was put in place, the Procurement Act, which deals with economic matters, the anti-corruption legislation, the integrity in public life legislation, and several other bills that were put in place to, for instance, restrict government from spending more than it ought to spend, or restrict government from placing the country in debt to a level that it cannot be sustained, and all of those things. Those economic-based and economy-based bills were passed by this new National Party administration between 2013 and 2018.
No, you will
so for hold on, so for you to come on radio and attempt to give the impression that this government has done nothing in relation to economic matters when they're bringing bills to Parliament is not only untrue, it is insulting to the intelligence of myself, my listeners, and all Grenadians.
Watch. I am crediting the administration for what it has done since, and not only this time in office. I am crediting the administration run by the group of people, right now and before when they would. I'm crediting them with moving this country in terms of the base, in terms of laws, bills. I am giving them all the credit. It is right, it is good. But I'm saying, whilst we are talking that the money is to do all of that is not in the pocket of Grenadians. Are we concerned about the expansion of the business sector, the economy, create jobs? And that is the angle I am taking. I'm not talking about what the government did in terms of laws. Yes, they're good at laws.
My brother,
but
if you do not
building
fix
the economy, putting into creating jobs and to some extent revenue, that is left behind by all the government, all of them.
My brother, I do not agree with you. Other people are trying to call. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye. Nice. Yeah, 4407377. No, do not insult my intelligence. Do not do that. And do not insult the intelligence of the listeners of this program. We won't tolerate it. No, enough of that. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Before you say anything, thank you very much. You know what I'm thanking you for.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you. And I must say, I will extend the compliment to the relevant person.
Okay, thanks.
Gentlemen, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Convenience is, to use a phrase, a hell of a thing. It is convenient for us to say one thing sometimes and something. May I ask, sir, are we talking about the Grenada Court of Justice?
No, the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Therefore, sir, since it is the Caribbean Court of Justice, we're talking about a Caribbean entity. Therefore, any Caribbean individual can address us on that entity. So, I mean, the extent to which intelligent people go to demonstrate their humanity, to put it that way, the frailty, sometimes it amazes you. It amazes you. It amazes me, I might say, it amazes me. The Caribbean Court of Justice is a Caribbean issue. It is not single to Grenada. It is not unique to Grenada. It's a Caribbean creation. It's a Caribbean child. Did that gentleman did he really listen to what the Honorable Roosevelt Scott delivered the other night at Wester Hall? Gentlemen, I mean, look, you know, sometimes we tell them, look, they have the cell phone, these young people have the cell phone, and they know all kind of thing, and now we defending them. They could do all kind of things with the cell phone, except getting to the CCJ, yes, Grenada, they see a copy of the bill. No, they cannot do that. They won't have money. They're not charged. The phone is not charged for that. Yeah? But you accuse them of looking for pornography. You accuse them of looking for this and for that. But you defend them when it comes to the no. I mean, how convenient we can be. How convenient we can be. And you hear people of the media saying they're not aware of this, and I thank you for the revelation, so that they are all informed.
They just get a blue folder with all the bills that are before Parliament on a particular day.
Thank you, sir.
They receive a blue folder, the same that each member of Parliament receives.
Thank you,
the
sir.
media receives a folder like that as well, with all the bills in it.
Listen to an extent to which people go to distort reality. Yeah? A gentleman on another program this morning is saying one of the priorities is the fact that, look, in Grenada we had elections, and he had whatever percentage of the people saying no, but they have no seats. And this person is somebody who does surveys. Listen to me, brother Scott, Senator Scott. The general election is an election that is not a bulk operation. You have a question of 15 case sub-elections occurring. 15 elections occurring. It is not, we go and we choose 15 people. Persons by constituency are asked to go and choose one. Yeah, make a choice between one person.
Exactly. They don't choose 15, they
exactly.
choose one.
So you cannot distort the premise of the election and therefore establish another standard for evaluating and critiquing this thing. That is intellectual dishonesty. It is intellectual dishonesty by someone who ought to know better in these kind of matters. Oh gosh, I really try to get on that program to debunk that, that dishonesty.
Because you know what they're saying, Doc? They're saying basically that, okay, you have 15 candidates for one particular political party. That those 15 candidates in each of the constituencies they run, even though they receive the most votes, that you're supposed to tell about 5 of them, listen, even though all you get more vote than the next guy, we put in the next guy in all your place. Because we want to level up everything.
It is not so. It is not so. And then don't come and say that what result is wrong because now you have 40% and 65%. No, that's not what the election was about. That's not what the election was about. And listen, even you hear the gentleman say he's for the CCJ, but he's putting all these conditionalities on the issue. That's why I raised the question. And you hear the Brother Roosevelt Scott, he spoke to the statesmanship, the leadership of Eugenia Charles in opposition, how she acted, how she behaved responsibly and in a dignified way in guiding our country forward. You understand? Persons are, and I continue to say, listen, this thing is so, this is original. It is so indigenous to us. The reasons, the voices that are speaking, no. You know, they really have not shown any justifiable reason for what they are saying. In fact, they are simply prohibiting instead of assisting to take our people forward. They are intent on keeping the people. You have stated already. Look, the past referendum, we had an opportunity to say no to the Queen, to this, to move over. They said say no, and now they're still coming and asking the gentleman from Dominica. Do you all in Dominica pledge allegiance to the so?
I mean, when I heard that, it was like, my goodness. And the
gosh,
same person that
man.
was saying vote no, and we put that into the bill. The bill had that we're going to change swaying allegiance from Her Majesty to the state of Grenada. That's what we'd have changed it from swaying allegiance to Her Majesty to Grenada. And these were one of the people that said vote no against that. And now they're coming and asking, well, in Dominica, who all it does swear allegiance to? And then quarreling now that Grenada is not an independent country because we swear allegiance
last
to the
intervention, as Brother Ambrose Phillips said last night, at this Wester Hall meeting, you wonder what these people really want.
Exactly.
They said no to something, you change it. Brother Scott, no matter what fashion you bring that, those forces who are intent on obstructing the forward movement of the people will seek, they will grab at any straw to say to the people, don't go forward. Don't go forward. The time is now, Brother Scott.
Indeed. Time to cross the river before we get drunk.
Time is now. We can't let the river drown us.
All right,
Thank
my
you,
brother.
sir.
Thank you. And let me say, when I say the bill is 17 pages, let me explain to you, Let me explain to you just what I mean when I say the bill is 17 pages. Now, the first page is the explanatory memorandum, or it explains basically what the bill is intended to do, right? So it would state Constitution of Grenada, Caribbean Court of Justice and Renaming of Supreme Court Amendment Bill 2018. And it says on 14th of February 2001 at St. Michael in Barbados, heads of government of CARICOM countries agreed to and signed a document entitled An Agreement Establishing the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. Second point it makes is the CCJ agreement has very firm provisions to the appointment of CCJ judges, their tenure, their protection against arbitrary removal from office, their being assured substantial jurisdiction, and the independent financing of the CCJ. The CCJ agreement may be considered and given full insulation to the CCJ from political interference. And it makes several other points about the CCJ on page 1 and page 2. Right? So it explains what the bill is attempting to do. Page 3 basically says what the sections are. Like part 2, subsection 3, alteration of section 16 of the Constitution. Part 2, section 4, alteration of section 18 of the... So it basically is like a guide to what is being done. So that's what page 3 and page 4 is doing. Page 5 goes into the actual act itself now. So the first 4 pages out of the 17, it's just basically a preamble. And we have a call online. I'll come back to it. Good morning. The song says terminal. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Scott.
Morning, Kiami. How you doing?
They are listening to that man, they're so long. The man singing it. You might want the whole program for yourself this morning. Anyhow, good morning to him and good morning to Dr. Thomas and all my friends in America, Zingo, Patty, Matthew, Kathy and Scott, Mr. Watts and his wife. My greetings to y'all guys. And I want to say a special good morning to Mr. London, my minister, Mr. David, also to the Prime Minister. Make us come home, boss. Make us come home. Yeah, well, Mr. Bowen is acting morning, sir. Yes. And to all my friends in Grenada, Caracou, Pitimati, home and abroad. Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Mr. Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask you a big favor this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have to seek medical help, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of things spelling out. So I want to ask the nation people, they could start and come and support me. Let me spell it out to get me some money to save to go and see about my foot.
Great.
Yeah? I want to make them motorcade.
No motorcade.
I have stuff here. So they could come and buy. They will get something for $5. They will get a little drink for 10. They will get one for 20. They will get 2 slippers for 25. 2 pair of slippers, old lady. They could get, you know.
Well, you have
old lady slippers for $25. I have some nice scarf. I have knickers. Nice lady panties. And little children. I have some nice little t-shirts that my cousin bring from New York. Darlington and his wife. Darlington, Chase, and Sheila. So I want a little money to buy, you know, to save up. So I could go and take care of my leg. So you could tell your friends in between your little program as your custom, tell them come down and support the Sakami. And Miss Jacob, good morning. I hope you feel better. And Sheldon?
Yes, my love.
I love you with all my heart.
You know I love
when
you.
I see you, I will chat with you.
Yeah, I want to pass and check you either later this evening or tomorrow.
But your son passing.
Yes,
you
know
know
must pass.
passing, but your son passing. And ask me for all right.
Yes,
What
madam.
a day.
He must pass by Miss Cami.
Yes. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Okay, my
And
love.
Patty, if you're listening, Patricia Arthur Campbell, call your friend Camille. I am not well, and I need to speak to you and Matthew. Call me home on Sunday, if all you get time. Bye-bye.
All right, my love. And I will send a message for her too.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Watson, tell him hello for me.
Will do.
But I'm sitting here, Dr. Thomas, I'm walking around. I sit down and me put there on a stool. And Mr. Deputy, good morning, Depo. Morning. Bye-bye.
All right, my dear. So, folks, yeah. I'll go on out and buy out Cami. She have perfume. I'll get 2 navy slippers for next to nothing. Or go and buy her out. She have things to sell. Yeah, she has to seek medical treatment and so on. And she ain't going and do no motorcade. She ain't doing no raffle and them kind of thing. She selling thing. She have thing that she could make she money from. She selling, go and buy. And when you're buying, you need a drink of water. You want to get another drink. Check Cami one time. She have it there. She had 2 fridge stock up. Buy out. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Sheldon. Good morning to Grenada.
Leslie, how are you?
I just want to say, I'm okay. I just want to say, if anybody is confused about the effectiveness of the CCJ, we should look at Barbados. And the government of Barbados is the one, after the last election, who should have been pulling out because, I mean, that's what the former Prime Minister said, because of the ruling of the CCJ. Now, the CCJ is not a political court. And we would have seen, like in the last election in Barbados, they would put against the government of Barbados. So let's stop trying to make the court political. That is not right.
But you want to know?
I don't believe it is political.
Leslie, my good friend, you know something that's a lot of people are not speaking about? The fact that when you look in Grenada, you're seeing a platform of both the NNP and NDC. You're seeing the NDC actively going out there and saying that we support it. They're not saying that they're supporting it just so they have issues. They're making sure that they know that they have issues that they would like to see. Things like campaign financing addressed and things like different parts of the electoral law addressed. I was listening to Senator, what's his name again? Livingston? Ron? I was listening to him recently and he said, yes, we agree. We support the CCJ bill, but we would like to see different things coming up. And then he was saying that during a Senate sitting where some of the issues that the NDC was talking about were addressed, some of them, they still have others they want to see addressed and they believe should be addressed before the next election. Yeah, but they are supporting. So even though they have their little issues, they're saying, we support this. The CCJ is a good thing. So if you have the NNP and the NDC on the same platform saying it, I fail to see why anybody must be pushing any political, that's why I call them the people who are doing this, the traveling circus of no, they're not NDC or NNP or any political party and so on. They're just people that, for instance, you have the one or two that decide, oh, this is going to give some legacy to Dr. Mitchell has a legacy already, but this is going to give some legacy to Dr. Mitchell, so I'm voting no. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And the thing is, they might end up in a court case one day because we don't know the future of our lives. Or maybe their brother or the sister or the aunt or the nephew. Now, that court will affect all of us right across the board in one way or the other. And if they think they want to go to the Privy Council, I mean, come on. I saw a couple weeks ago a senator was giving her experience with a case on the CCJ. And I was saying, my God, that is so crazy. I mean, after you would have spent all this money.
The Privy Council, you mean?
And then the lawyers would have said, well, we can't go ahead with the case anymore.
The Privy Council, you mean, yeah.
I think we should think. We should think. We should stop making this thing political. Those of us who is making it political. I see one gentleman in Westerhall say he would tell the people to vote no, but he doesn't have any solid reason why we vote no. I would say to vote yes because the CCJ affects all of us in a positive way. And again, if you have questions, just look at Barbados and the last election and what Barbados was trying to do with nationals, maybe from Guyana or wherever, that would have been eligible to vote. And the ruling of this, and not only the ruling, the timing. I mean, they got the result before you know it, If that had to go to the Privy Council, maybe in the next 5 years' time, you might hear something, So let us think about that. And have a good day.
All right, no problem, bro. Yes, 440-7377. That's the number. Just a few minutes remaining. And here's what, I'm going to take the time and go through the bill with you. Yeah, I'm going to take the time and go through it, not necessarily today, because we have just a little bit of time remaining. But like page 5 says, an act to alter the Constitution of Grenada to provide for the establishing of the Caribbean Court of Justice as the final appellate court for Grenada in substitution for Her Majesty in Council, and to provide for the renaming of the Supreme Court in Grenada to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and other justice-related matters. Now, you know what that says? You heard what that says. Not that it is giving the government a freehold to alter the Constitution and whichever section of the Constitution they want. It says in the bill, an act to alter the Constitution of Grenada to provide for the establishment of the Caribbean Court of Justice as the final appellate court for Grenada, in substitution for Her Majesty in Council, which is what the Privy Council is called, and to provide for the renaming of the Supreme Court in Grenada to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and other justice-related matters. So nowhere in that sentence, for anybody that did English language from primary school come right up, does it say there that you could just take freehold and do whatever else you want for the Constitution? It says specifically what parts of the Constitution you are allowed to alter. And then it says, it gives a reason for this, whereas it is a fundamental objective that jurisdiction as to the final determination of litigation arising in and for Grenada would be vested in the Caribbean Court of Justice in substitution for Her Majesty in Council. In other words, simple language, that the final court for all litigation cases arising in the state of Grenada, all court cases arising in the state of Grenada, Instead of going to the Privy Council, you go to the Caribbean Court of Justice. What interpretation you need for that? You need a year to interpret that? My 6-year-old could interpret that. And you need a year to interpret that? And whereas the attainment of the said objective requires that there be duly altered the Constitution of Grenada and other constitutional instruments of Grenada. Again, that has to be taken in context of what is read before. So it is not a standalone. And whereas the attainment of other justice-related objectives, such as the styling, the Supreme Court, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, also requires that there be duly altered the Constitution of Grenada and other constitutional instruments of Grenada. So all where you have Supreme Court, that it is simply changed to Eastern Caribbean Court. That's what is said there. That needs interpretation. Be it enacted by Queen's Most Excellent Majesty by and with advice and consent of the Senate and House of Representatives of Grenada and by the authority of the same as follows. In other words, simply that the House of Representatives and the Senate must agree. That needs interpretation? Come on, man. Seriously. Anyway, as I said, we're going to go in detail on this issue. Yeah, we're going to go in detail on this issue. Hey, Wade, my condolences, bro. Watch, I didn't even want to go and touch that one because that'd just be a different kind of day today. I know market time, how it goes song in the morning. I know that. Yeah, if you're doing market, well, you're going to do market time. I know you're doing market time in the morning, so I ain't worried. You'll do market time in the morning. But my goodness. Hey. Oh, boy. I could well imagine. Yeah? Well, folks, we're just nearly out of time. But remember, if you're looking for a copy of the bill, it's several places. Yeah? You can go to the government printery and purchase a copy. Yeah, you could do that. It has been in the newspapers, at least 2 of the newspapers, because it's been gazetted and so also outside of the government gazette, which you could purchase and get it. You can also get it in some of the newspapers. And I have the newspaper at home actually, but I can't remember if it was last week or week before. I would believe it's week before because last week I would not have been on mainland. So I believe it would have been week before. So there are copies of the bill out there that you can get and you can go over. It's song saying, okay, 17 pages, but the first 4 pages basically is just explanation. Then you get into the actual bill itself in page 5, page 6, where you have the interpretation. So they're telling you the interpreting. When they say, for instance, when they say agreement establishing the Caribbean Court of Justice, means the agreement establishing the Caribbean Court of Justice referred to in section 11. So where they use different words, they actually come and tell you what those words mean. Yeah? And page 7, going along the same line, 8, 9, it goes into the different sections that you would have to change the names in. So for instance, if it says, in this kind of case, the final court of appeal is the Privy Council, so that section would have to be changed in this, the final court of appeal would be the CCJ. And that's what is there. But some people want to give you the impression that some sort of superstitious thing is being put together, and superstitious and suspicious is being put in place so that you have to be afraid. Yeah? And don't get it wrong, you know, they read this and they understand it clearly and they know for a fact. Some of the red herrings they're throwing out there can't cook. They know very well. But they're going to still do it because they want to create doubt in your minds. They want to create doubt in your minds. So they're going to still do it. Yeah? And page 17 is just actually a signature. So when you hear 17, don't feel it's something to be afraid of and something to be afraid of and you have to be frightened of it and all kind of thing. Yeah? But anyway, folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here with you. And whatever you say, do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. Love each and every one of you. Only remember to go down out and buy out Cami. She had thing for sale. Go and buy Cami out. Buy out. Buy everything she had. All right? Nice. Go and buy everything she had. That's all the time we have for Hard Talk for today and this week. Love each and every one of you. Those online, those who are listening via the radio stations, the staff at the radio stations, my good friends at Paddy's Enterprises up there in Carriacou. Yeah, morning to all of you. Yeah, and to all of the staff at the different facilities, Grenadian Voice, wherever you are listening to this morning's program. Miss Clytie, good morning. Miss Bernice, all of you, have a wonderful day today. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out of here. Until next week, God's willing. That's our talk for this week.
Grenada's Prime Minister highlights need for economic resilience of small states at World Bank meeting in Indonesia. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details in the news for Thursday, 11th October 2018, I'm Delroy Lozon. Grenada's Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, has underscored the need for the economic resilience of small states like Grenada. Addressing delegates attending the Small States Forum 2018 in Bali, Indonesia on Thursday, Prime Minister Mitchell noted that in today's globalized economic system, economic resilience means being globally competitive in niche, low-income but high-value markets. Dr. Mitchell said it's important to continue the narrative of small states not being defined by the disadvantages, but also by the distinct advantages. The need to focus on the blue and green economy as well as technology was one of the key streams of work in keeping with the priority areas identified for small states. Dr. Mitchell also highlighted some of the successes during his tenure as chairman.
The core allocations for either eligible small states have more than doubled, as Mr. Leader already said, from $1.7 billion to either 17 to $1.5 billion under either 18 special feature. Indeed, some small states have even seen a tripling of their allocations. We have already seen rapid implementation of this in the Caribbean following last year's devastating hurricanes. In particular, support to Dominic towards fast track. Speaking specifically from my own country's perspective, the World Bank has certainly delivered to my country. We agreed with the World Bank that almost 50% of our item will be fast-tracked and front-loaded as budgetary support for significant initiative. This transaction, which received board approval earlier this year, has been called the world's first fiscal resilience and blue growth development policy operation.
Since the 2015 Small States Forum, members agreed on a number of priorities, including inclusion of vulnerability as a criterion for concessional financing, predictability of affordable financing, debt sustainability, access to new and existing climate change financing, capacity building, and technical assistance. As he handed over the chairmanship Thursday, Dr. Mitchell provided an update on the status of these priorities.
Inclusion of vulnerability as a criterion for concessional financing. Yes, we have made progress in terms of the vulnerability report, but urgent follow-up, colleagues, friends, this is about Two, predictability of affordable financing. Yes, I say yes to that. We have made significant strides, particularly through IDA, as I mentioned earlier on, especially of my own country. But we look forward to the new developments with the IBR. Thirdly, debt sustainability. Many small states have taken on the mantra of debt sustainability. However, in the context of climate change and the new IPCC It will be hard to maintain the ideal debt to GDP ratio, particularly if there is a lack of concessional financing.
The Small States Forum is held during the annual meeting of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Chairmanship of the forum rotates among member states every 2 years. Dominica's Prime Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Scott, says acceding to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice is in the interests of the people of Grenada and the region. Addressing a public consultation at the Wester Hall Secondary School on Wednesday, Mr. Scott said it is time we begin to look after our own affairs as independent states. Dominica is already accessing the court in its original and appellate jurisdictions. Mr. Scott said young people especially should be part of the process.
Because you are securing your future and your own protection as a citizen of Grenada and a resident of the Caribbean community. And to you, my dear aunties and grannies and uncles and grandpas and so on, you need to go out to vote yes, to ensure that your children, we're just in the waiting room as far as you're concerned, but our children and grandchildren are yet to come.
Local attorney Kim George urged those in attendance to embrace the opportunity to access justice through the referendum process.
And I don't think we should allow the opportunity to pass us as a people, because it is here. I want to suggest that we grab it, that we take advantage of it come the 6th of November, because I have no doubt that the infrastructural issues and challenges that we are presently facing in relation to our court system, those will pass. I have no doubt about it. And if those pass without us ascending to the CCJ, then the CCJ will remain a live issue. It will remain something that I suspect if we don't embrace it on the 6th of November, we might live to regret as an opportunity.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then suddenly saw we hear bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
Welcome back. Grenada will host the 3rd Global Conference on Health and Climate Change with special focus on small island developing states next week. The 2-day meeting, which begins on Tuesday, 16th October at the Radisson Grenada Beach Resort in St. George's, would be jointly led by Dr. Joy St. John, the Assistant Director General for Climate and Other Determinants of Health at the World Health Organization, WHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, Director of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and Grenada's Minister for Health, Social Security and International Business, the Honorable Nicholas Steele. The high-profile meeting will bring together more than 20 health ministers, permanent secretaries, and climate change focal points. A number of local, regional, and international observers and stakeholders with special interest in matters of health and climate change are also expected to participate in the conference, which is already attracting regional and international attention. With preparations already underway for this important meeting, Minister Steele told GIS that Grenada was able to host the meeting because of this government's decisive leadership on matters that touch and concern climate change and its impact on overall human health. Minister Steele added that the conference will signal to the world Grenada's seriousness on matters of health and climate change, especially at a time when the island's first ever climate-smart health facility at the Princess Alice Hospital would be handed over and commissioned 1 day before the official meeting begins. And that concludes the National Report for Thursday, 11th October 2018. Now for a recap of the main story in the news. Grenada's Prime Minister highlights need for economic resilience of small states at World Bank meeting in Indonesia. On behalf of all of us here at the GIS, I'm Delroy Lozon, thanking you for viewing.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.